Welcome back to another episode of the Cameras and Coffee podcast. Today I'm sitting here with Kellie Hetler from Hetler Photography, and we're going to talk about adding something you're passionate about to your brand. So welcome, Kellie.
Hi.
And we're going to kind of dig in all about something she's added to her brand, which I absolutely love. Her and I have met over the years at styled shoots. We live around the same area near Grand Rapids, Michigan. So welcome, Kellie. I can't wait to talk all the things.
Thank you.
It's crazy because we've never had the opportunity to sit down and have coffee. So I'm kind of excited about this. Just everyone gets to join us, which
Yeah.
sometimes is nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Well, we'll do.
Um, so let's kind of dig into how you got to where you are now. So obviously you're a photographer. Tell us how you got to what you're photographing now. Like, where did you start in the beginning? You can give us the Cliff Notes version. Doesn't have to go into a huge long history.
Yeah, it'll take forever if I do. So, yeah, I've been a photographer, maybe 16, 17 years. I started shooting basically everything just because I think that's how everyone starts. And worked through, I got really, really busy at the beginning of my career. And then probably halfway through, I had my second daughter. And she has multiple disabilities. And then I kind of had to take a huge step back with my business. And then I came back in and kind of had to do everything all over. It felt like I was a brand new photographer again. I felt like I had to start from square one. I just had better portfolio to start with than I did at the very beginning. It's almost 9 now. And right now I'm still shooting weddings and portraits, and I'm trying to integrate some film as well, just because that's kind of a passion, more creative side for me that I love. So yeah, that's the Cliff Notes version, at least.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because not from having a child, but I've had to come into the whole thing. About what year was that for you?
So it was probably about year 8, and she's 8, so
Okay.
right in the middle.
Okay. Because I did that like right in 2020, which is like the weirdest time to come into weddings. Because when I came back, I was like, I'm going to do seniors and weddings, and I want to do more weddings than anything. But I've only done a handful beforehand, but I was like, I am passionate about learning. This is what I want to do, and went gung ho. But what was your rebranding like? Was your style the same, or was it like a completely different style?
Well,
What would you say?
I thought you were asking me when I had my daughter and where that change was. That was
Oh, sorry.
years ago. My rebranding had maybe about a year or two ago. It's
okay.
Everything's kind of a ish timeline. I don't really know exactly.
Right? I am the same way.
Yeah. So the rebranding process, I mean, I feel like my style has changed all throughout 16 years just because you don't really know what you like at first. You kind of just do what everybody else likes. I really feel like I didn't know my style probably until 12, 13, 14 years in. I mean, it took a long time. I felt like I was too busy at first to figure that out. It was just getting it done. But the rebranding, it really was more just a shift of focus than a rebrand for me. My editing style, changed a little bit just because the styles changed overall in the industry a little bit. And I kind of found that I like more classic, true to color than super light and airy, which is kind of where I started, was more classic. So it's kind of funny how that shifted throughout the years too. But yeah, I just really added disability into my brand a lot more. So that's basically the shift.
Yeah. And I can't wait to dive more into that.
I know. There's a lot.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, the whole shift in all of that. I know for me, I was taking a lot of family photography in the beginning of my career, and that is something I've actually kind of taken out of.
I know,
which is hard, but in the sense with saying no to that, I'm able to say yes to more things that I care more about. And when it's easy, it doesn't necessarily mean it's best for me. So That's kind of, I don't know, do you feel the same way, or do you feel,
Yeah.
are you still doing everything and anything, or are you
So
primarily like weddings?
I'm doing a lot of things still, but for more specific people, which
Mm,
it feels it's not like that it's exclusive. I'm doing things for maybe my wedding couples. I'm still shooting their family
mm,
photos or maybe more
yeah,
established
same.
clients because I love following their journey. And
Yeah.
that's just so fun to see them at engagement, wedding, baby one, two, three, four. It's just really fun to see that.
Uh-huh.
But I'm not like doing extended family photos for new clients. Nothing, those don't really bring
Yeah.
me joy or creativity at all. So
No.
I'm not doing things just to fill my calendar anymore just because I don't
Mhm.
want to. And I don't need to really
Yeah.
anymore because you just have a big client base from being in the industry for so long. It's just
Yeah, exactly.
which is a blessing. So I'll take that. But um and then I'm just trying to make more room, like you said, for things that I do want, which is more
Yeah.
disability and introducing that into all different areas of the photography
Yeah.
industry.
It's crazy because I feel like you and I are very similar in a
Mhm,
lot of like the journey.
mhm.
For listeners that don't know this, Kelly and I actually share a birth date.
Ah,
It's crazy. We're
uh-huh.
about a year apart, I think, in age,
Yeah, I
but
think so.
yeah, it's just kind of funny. And our initials are the same. So like when
Yeah,
I was rebranding, I even think we have like the same website template. And I was
we
like,
might.
how do
Probably.
I not make this look exactly like her when we both are in Grand Rapids? We both shoot weddings. I mean, our styles are different, but it was like, it's
I think
like, I don't want to be
everyone
like, I'm trying to be
no,
Kelly Hetler. It's
no.
just kind of funny.
Everyone
Um,
has that template, so don't worry. I found. It's
it's just
okay.
kind of funny.
Mhm,
But yeah, like kind of digging in. And I love when you say like you want to follow the journey of your couples, because that's
mhm,
where I stopped offering family sessions to um potential new clients, but
mhm,
I have like a whole group of things. I have a Facebook group for all of my wedding clients, and
mhm,
I don't know if I'm going to keep doing that. I
mhm.
really want to, but I feel like more and more as the years go on, it's less and less of the next generation of couples using Facebook. So it's
Yeah,
kind of tricky.
yeah.
But that's where I say, like, I will offer you guys family photos, baby photos, whatever, like
Mhm.
as your journey, because I want to stay connected. And that's a huge part of my brand is relational. And I think yours is too. Like
Same.
build that relationship because that's what means most to you.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's where a lot of we are the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely when you go into that. So you primarily shoot weddings.
Mhm.
Um, you do a lot of styled shoots still.
Yeah, just that's more for me basically and for
Yeah,
shooting things
be creative.
I want to shoot and yeah, because I don't
Yeah.
feel right trying out new things on wedding days, because it's kind of
Mhm.
you want to make sure you get what they need and cover their day properly, not
Oh,
shooting
yeah.
for yourself at their wedding day. So that's
Yeah.
where I like to shoot stylish shoots just for myself. It could be
Yeah.
creative.
Well, and it's funny because when you talk about extended family shoots, I was like, yeah, I like that I can like bring in income with that because
Yeah.
obviously you can charge more the bigger the shoot is, but it just felt like a big long family formals
Yeah.
part of the day, which I
The worst part.
is not my favorite part of a wedding day. It's probably my least
Oh,
favorite.
agree.
Um But it's gotta get done,
Yep.
and it's gotta be beautiful, and
Mhm.
that's where I'm like, "Why would I keep doing this to myself?"
Mhm.
So I'm like, "I'm gonna stop doing it."
Yep.
Yeah, so kind of niche, and I feel very blessed to be able to niche in
Yeah.
my business,
Agree.
um, because that is really hard to do if you're starting out. You have to build the clientele, the longevity of your business to be known like this is what she does.
Mhm.
But I feel like there's a lot of connection in the wedding industry
Yeah.
because you meet a lot of people, you meet a lot of vendors, and there's a lot more word of mouth that way.
Mhm.
Um, and I love that. I love working with the same people again that I had a pleasure with um, working at other weddings and things like that, and kind of sharing each other's work. It's a pleasure. It really is.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's kind of, I don't know, kind of something fun.
Oh, yeah.
So talking about,
I'd say
oh,
some of my
sorry.
best friends are from the wedding industry that I've met.
Yeah.
It's just it's a good place to be when you find your group.
Yeah, exactly. So you get to do a lot of things like you were talking about things that bring you joy.
Mhm.
So let's talk about like traveling. I know a lot of people view like traveling for work as like something really exciting and whatnot. But what are some of the things that this job has brought you to that you are that you find were like your favorite out of all of them as far as traveling?
Traveling. Yeah, I love to travel. I mean, I think a lot of people love to travel. That's almost sounds like cliche to say it because everyone loves to travel, but I do. I love to travel. Um, I've been able to shoot weddings all over the country, which is really fun. They're kind of stressful because there's just so many moving parts to it, and just the
Mhm.
packing alone is is stressful. And this
Let's
year,
talk about that
oh
because
gosh, yeah.
you and I were messaging because there was one time you was it New York you were going to?
I don't
And
remember.
your luggage did not arrive.
Oh, no, that was Pennsylvania. Oh, yeah.
Oh, and I was like, "Oh, girl, you need like a,
Mhm.
what do they call those? The Apple,
Oh,
air tags
I have
in
those
your
now.
suitcases." Yes, but I was like, "Oh my gosh." So, did you have your camera gear with you? Was it just your clothing that was
Yeah.
lost?
I always carry on my gear, and then
Yeah.
check the clothing bags, and then always try to keep, like, one outfit on me, one extra outfit on me just
Yeah.
in case, which is a good thing because when they lose your whole suitcase, and then I I always try to go a day early as well in case flights
Oh,
get
yeah.
canceled or whatever, or they lose your luggage and you have to go shopping for the whole day, which is what we had to do in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
So,
man.
yes, it's stressful,
Oh
but
my gosh.
it's fun. I
Yes.
mean, to travel.
Well, and
Mhm.
half the time, like, if you have rechargeable batteries, like, you can't pack those
You
in
can't
your
yeah, you
suitcases
can't
to be
check them.
checked. They have to
Mhm,
go with you in your carry-on.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, that's me. I'm always like, I'm gonna have at least one camera and a lens. Let's say I'm doing an event or a wedding, like a lens that I can actually spend the whole time shooting with
mhm.
if I had to.
Yeah.
As much as I can in my travel bag. And it's
Mhm.
super heavy, but I was like,
It's
it's worth it not to lose it and be without
mhm.
it. So
Yeah, I have
I totally
travel
know what
light
you mean.
stands in my checked bags and maybe some flashes and stuff because I just don't have enough room on my
Yeah.
person to carry it out. But yeah, and then traveling with film is a whole other beast because
Oh,
you can't
tell
let it
me
go
about
through the
that. Like, what
scanners.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
it can't go through the scanners because that can ruin the film.
Mhm.
And then so they have to hand check everything piece by piece. So you
Oh
need to
my
make sure you're
goodness.
in the airport earlier. It's just
Yeah.
it's just a lot of extra work. So,
Yeah.
yes, it's fun.
Mhm.
Yes, it sounds like a dream. But, you wish you're on a beach taking pictures until you're on a beach taking pictures. And then it's
For real.
100
Oh
degrees,
my gosh.
direct sun, you're in a dress
Oh,
clothes, and you're just like, "Oh my gosh." It's it's fun, but
oh my gosh. Yeah. So
yeah.
what is like the most fun location that you've ever been?
Man, I always feel like that answer is based on the people, really, because they make
Okay.
or break it, you know? Um,
Yeah.
I loved shooting in New York City, but we had to meet at 4:30 in the morning because first the heat in the summer there was so
Mhm.
intense, and then just the crowds of people, and
Oh yeah.
we didn't want the Brooklyn Bridge covered in people. So we got there at
Yeah.
the first light, and there were like some people, but enough to edit out. But when there's
Yeah.
the whole bridge is covered, it's really hard to edit them out.
Mhm.
And then by 10 o'clock, Central Park was just full of people. So
I'm sure.
that was tricky. And the logistics of trying to get around a big city like that was,
Yeah.
and I'd never been there before. That was a lot of work, but that was really fun. I loved that one. I'm going to Ireland in August to shoot a wedding, and
Ooh.
that one's a lot of work. I'm trying to figure out all the logistics. So I was with
Yeah.
a travel agent yesterday, just trying to figure out how to move about the country and things like that.
Yeah.
And then traveling internationally with camera gear, also some countries are more
Mhm.
they don't they want their photographers to have the work versus ours, and so
Yeah.
you only can bring so many cameras in, and it's just there's a lot of
Oh, wow. Okay.
things.
Yeah, you don't think about that. And
Mhm.
it's funny because I've heard like if you're gonna photograph in Paris and you want the Eiffel Tower, I've heard like early morning is best
I'm sure.
because then you don't get all the people, which I'm like, that would work for me then because of the, the jet lag. But
Yeah, true.
whoever's there, hopefully they're not
Mhm.
trying to get ready early in the morning. But
Yeah, I love shooting
oh,
in California too. The light there is amazing.
oh, yes.
It's
That's,
a
I just
beautiful
want to
place.
live there.
I know.
Just the cost of living is so much more than here.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. I think it's cheaper for them to fly photographers in than hire their photographers.
oh, for sure. That's kind of how I want to brand it. Like,
Yeah.
fly me in.
Yeah. Right.
I will be cheaper than your photographer. Take me
You
there.
probably will be.
um, oh, so good.
I know
Okay,
it's
so
fun.
let's kind of talk about at what point you wanted to add disability to your brand. This is
Well,
a big thing. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Since my daughter was born in what year was it? That's bad. 2015, I think.
Okay.
It was well, my whole life changed. I mean, my daughter was born. She was born deaf, and she also had upper limb differences. So her arms are shorter than typical ones, about a half length, and one's about 2/3 length of a typical arm length. So everything about our life changed at that point, and I think you think about families with children or a family member that's disabled, and you think, oh, that must be hard. You feel bad for
Mm-hmm.
them or things like that. And you don't really, there's no way to grasp it unless you're in that situation,
Mm-hmm.
how different your life is. Uh, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just different.
Yeah.
So, and that's something that really like shook my world, I guess, is realizing that
Mm-hmm.
her differences aren't bad. They were a blessing and they changed us, made us better people. And
Yeah.
it took a while to get a hold of that, I guess, and turn it into that, just because it's so different. And get used
Mm-hmm.
to the people staring and to the all the just the differences, I guess, and how it made our everyday life different and how we had to fight for things differently. And it wasn't just
Mm-hmm.
sending your kid to school anymore. It was fighting for your kid to go to school and all these things. It was just so different. And
Girl,
that,
preach.
yeah,
Because
I know, you know
I
what
know
I mean.
exactly what you mean. Because with our child, it's non-visual,
Yeah,
so it's
right.
all behind the scenes. So
Hmm.
she appears like a neurotypical kid,
Right.
and when she does something that, like, you get people that are like, "That's not nice. You don't talk to your mom that way," or
Yeah.
we get this in the doctor's office a lot, and I'm just
Mhm.
like, stay out of it, like,
Yeah.
you're making it worse.
Yeah, you're not
But
helping.
there are blessings, and
Mhm,
you love the moments where, like, you make connections and things like that, but
mhm,
it helps you see your world through different eyes, and it
mhm,
does make you a better person because you have
mhm,
a better understanding for all different types of people. And yeah, it's huge.
mhm.
I totally agree.
I know when we were pregnant for her, we only knew about her limb differences. We didn't know she was deaf yet
Mm,
at that point because I don't there's no really way to tell that until they do those
yeah.
screenings at their newborn. And so our pastor had told us to like find a scripture and stay and pray on it. And it was the scripture we found was one that said to for the Lord to perfect what we are concerned about, basically. And so we prayed on that and prayed on that. And then it was
Mm,
probably 2 years after she was born, I realized, and it was just like a aha moment. But we were sitting in church, and I was just like started bawling because I realized that because I felt like he never answered our prayers, is what I felt like. And then at that moment, I felt like he finally did because she was perfect, and because he doesn't make
mhm.
mistakes, but he
Yeah.
was perfecting us, and we were the ones that needed the
Yeah.
perfecting, not her. So
Oh,
that was really a big moment. And I
yeah.
really felt like led to do something that changed the world for her and other kids like her,
Mhm.
but selfishly
Yeah.
my child, of course, right? And I didn't.
Yeah.
And at
Oh
that
my
time when she
goodness.
was so little, it was all about figuring out her life. So there wasn't much outside things going on trying to
Mhm.
I was always trying to like be in communities, learn how to be in different communities and help where I could. And then try to
Yeah.
still run my business. But I didn't really start adding the disability into my business until a few years ago, which is when she was maybe 6 years old. Once she
Okay.
was a little more stable and I was really able to dive in more. And
Yeah.
I just felt like I started looking around one day and I was like, what is there out there for like wedding planning, for resources for people that have
Mm,
disabilities?
yeah.
And what is there inspiration wise? Because you can go to Pinterest and you can see all these beautiful photos of brides
Mhm.
and gowns and, all the flowers and all these ideas. And I was like, I was looking up hashtags on Instagram and I was Googling and there was nothing. I mean, there were a few things, but I couldn't find hardly
Yeah.
anything. And the few things I could find were not done well. And
Mhm.
I was talking to my mentor. She was like a celebrity photographer who doesn't do weddings anymore. She photographed a groom in a wheelchair one time, and they told her it took them probably 3 or 4 different photographers that were willing to work with them because they were too afraid
What?
of photographing someone in a wheelchair. And I was just like,
Wow.
why? Like, we're creatives. We should be able to be creative.
Yeah.
Like, we shouldn't need the same thing every time to make
Mhm.
beautiful outcomes. That's just it felt backwards and it just felt wrong to me. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that's it. I can do this. I can do this. So
I
I
think
was
there's a fear in there too
yeah.
where like people are like they say it and it comes out
Mhm.
wrong.
Mhm.
And I feel like there's a fear of how will I do this? I don't know how.
Mhm.
And a lot of times if you're just honest with people, teach me how I
Yep.
can be more inclusive. Teach me how I can
Mhm.
help your world become better
Mhm.
for these particular things. And I know for me personally, like that's where I'm at,
Mhm.
where I'm never going to say no, but I'm going to say I want to learn
Mhm.
and kind of go. And I feel like you are paving a way for this industry in that way too, because it's just like eye opening to like how many people don't think about it, you know?
Mhm.
And I know you and I both are a part of oh my gosh, why can't I think of the name? Stephanie, I'm so sorry. Capable community.
Oh, people can yeah.
Um
Mhm.
and both kind of a part of that. And I feel like you and I are the only two part of that in Michigan. And
We
it's
are.
like, come on, people, let's
Mhm.
spread that out. Let's make things more successful, especially since I don't do a lot of family photography anymore. But I love that this industry of weddings that you are bringing that to this
Mhm.
area
Mhm.
and opening the eyes of all different vendors
Mhm.
in that way. Yeah, and it's just it is so good in that
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah,
Um,
my goal is that we're not just making the wedding industry representative and adding
mm,
them in, the people that have disabilities in here and there just to be representative, but having
yeah,
them be part of the main show, like just having it be
yeah,
typical, like, oh yeah, of course. Like I mean, even like Old Navy or stores like that, they're Target, they're doing a pretty good job nowadays with having children with prosthetics or cochlear implants, things like that. And they're real, so
yeah,
that's good to see. So that is making it a little easier, making it a little more. I mean, it's just easy to add in general, but the wedding industry, there, I was just shocked how there was literally nothing. And so,
yeah.
and everyone deserves to have beautiful wedding photos. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
I mean, of course you
Yeah.
believe that. So that's my goal. And my whole slogan is like getting the wedding industry ready for Gabby, my daughter. So she's only 8, but hey, I mean,
Mm,
it'll be here before we know it. So,
yeah. And guys, literally like Kelly's stuff is absolutely gorgeous
oh, thank you.
and I every time I hear like see something where you have like displayed someone with a disability, I'm just like, yeah, girl, like I'm cheering you on. I'm cheering that person on, that model that
Mhm,
and honestly, like anyone who's going to see that and feel like that could be me,
mhm,
like my heart just like
mhm,
births for them. It's
mhm.
so sweet. And oh, it's so true. But let's kind of pivot here and talk
Mhm.
about okay, so we have this gathering. I don't even know how often it is. It's changed over time
I think
called
it's
Art
every other year.
Prize.
Yeah.
Okay, every other year.
Mhm.
It used to be every year for a while. And I feel like it's changed organizations like who
Mhm.
run it now.
Mhm.
Um, so Kelly did a submission as an artist.
Mhm.
Um, and what this is, you guys, is it's all of Grand Rapids, and people come from all over the world to
Mhm.
submit art. Um, it could be like live art, it could be like interactive art, it can be displayed art, all the different things.
Mhm.
And it goes on for, is it like a week or 2
Oh, no, it
weeks?
was
I'm trying
several
to
weeks. I
remember.
can't remember exactly, but it was a
Okay.
while. Mhm.
Okay. And you go on and then people vote for their
Mhm.
favorite and they go to finalists and things like that. So
Mhm.
Kelly did a submission. Tell us about that and what
Mhm.
that looked like for you.
Yeah, I just again wanted to get these beautiful people out there. I didn't plan on winning because I didn't, spoiler alert, I didn't win, of course. But I just wanted to have their voice, their picture, they're
Mm,
out there. So I found 5 children with all different types of disabilities, and photographed them on medium format film. One was my daughter. Another one was a adorable little girl with Down syndrome. Another was a young boy who was blind, and I photographed him with his walking. I'm not sure if it's what it's called, if it's a cane or what the tool he uses to help guide where he's going. Um, and then another girl who had a prosthetic leg. I'm trying to think of who the fifth one was now. It's been a few years.
was it the two boys in the field? I was trying to remember. I
No,
see that one a lot of
that
yours, but
was that was a different thing. Well, either way, it
okay.
was it was pretty awesome to see.
Absolutely stunning, by the
Yeah,
way.
thank
Like,
you. It was.
I did not get to go see it, but I
Mhm,
really, really wanted to.
yeah.
I threw a vote in though.
Oh, thank you. And then, uh, a videographer friend came to the studio the day that I was photographing the kids and took videos of the kids saying, "I am wonderful," and
Mm,
also, like, things that are, like, fun about them or unique about them, things that describe them other than just their disability, because
yeah.
it feels like all that you see is their disability when you look at them, but there's so much
Hmm.
more to them than that. And that kind of it was a QR code on the wall. People were able to look at the video on their phone and just hear their little laughs and just get to experience them as human
I
beings,
love
and
that.
it was really special.
Oh, it was so sweet. I absolutely loved it.
Mhm,
Yeah, it was such a cool thing to represent because I feel like it really opens people's eyes
mhm,
to, again, there can be beauty in this, but like also seeing that, but then also understanding them through a
mhm,
different lens,
mhm,
honestly. Which is, oh, I love that.
mhm. I did receive a
Um,
few emails and thank you notes from parents of children,
oh, I love
just like
that.
thanking me for doing it, which was pretty awesome.
Well, just imagine that kid that goes through and they're like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
even for my child that meets anyone else with autism, it's like
Mhm,
there's like an immediate connection
mhm.
there. It's interesting. Like her best friend down the road, I was like, did you guys just like randomly talk about the fact that you had autism? Like, how does that come into conversation?
Yeah.
And they're just like, but I was like, in that mindset, they just are like, I have autism. And just so matter of fact. And
Mhm,
since then, they've just become the greatest of friends. And I absolutely love it. It's like her biggest support
yeah,
system. And oh, so great.
mhm,
Um, so let's talk about disability as part of your brand. So you've
mhm,
added that into your photography business.
mhm.
What does that look like for your business?
It's kind of a slow process because honestly, I need to find people to photograph that are willing to be photographed, which it's hard finding models. Most photographers know it's and because most of the time it's during the week or things like that, and it's just not as kind
Mm-hmm.
of schedules. But finding the right person that will be willing to be in front of the camera, work with the schedule. There's so many factors. And so I'm trying to add those images into my social media, um, to use them with captions that are representative of the disability community, but also just adding them in as part of my regular feed. and regular
Mhm.
marketing and things like that. And
Just
then,
making that a social norm,
yeah,
basically. Like,
basically.
this is just normal, you know?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. When I
which is
post
so
a story
mm,
about buying wedding dresses or something, I just
mm,
add them in, it just, no big deal because
yeah.
that's what I want it to be. And then,
Mhm.
yeah, because there was, my goal is also to start having a little bit of education because I had one model go to try dresses on for a shoot, and the dress shop owner, like, there's just, no one's fault. They're just lack of education. They don't know. Like, she
Yeah.
had limb
Mhm.
differences, and she only had like half of one arm, and the shop owner left her alone to try her dresses on. And I mean, she probably was
Mm.
thinking to give her privacy, which, sure, I understand that,
Yeah.
but like, there's no way she's going to be able to put the dress on herself or
Yeah.
zip it herself. I mean, honestly, I can't zip a dress myself. So, I mean,
Same.
so
Oh
just
my
like
gosh.
education like that. I would also love to
Mhm.
start like taking tours of venues and like ranking them, like, or not. I don't know how to do it, but just
Based on
based on
accessibility.
accessibility, things
Oh,
like
for
that.
sure.
And I have a
I would love to see that, like, in
yeah.
the area, like, what venues in our area are
Mhm.
accessible? Because even so, like, my mom she has MS, and
Yeah.
she can't do anything without her walker or her scooter now, and
Mhm.
even, like, doing a family session and finding a studio to
Yeah.
use in Grand Rapids, we were like, "The best one we can find has 5 steps, so we have to carry her up there just to
Mhm.
get her inside," and so it's just yeah, it's those kinds of things where it's like how accessible is like because things are grandfathered in when
Mhm.
it's such an old building or something like that.
Mhm.
But even when they find things that are accessible, they're really not because that
Yeah.
accessible situation, yeah, fit code, but it doesn't fit like in the event. Like, are you putting a table there? Like, how can they get around that table?
Mhm.
Like, there's so many things that are just looked over.
Mhm.
Um, and I think I'm trying to remember, I think OFD Consulting did an article about making your wedding more accessible for your guests.
Mhm.
And I will link that in the show notes because it was an incredible article that I shared with my couples and said, "Have you thought about this?" Um,
Mhm.
was so huge.
Yeah,
But
I'd love to see
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Some other things that I've been trying to do are in my like questionnaire to my bride and groom before the wedding date. I ask if there are any accessibility needs, or if there's any communication needs, because I'm willing to hire like an
Mm,
ASL interpreter to follow me around for the day, things like that. Or if someone needs extra time, because I've had brides with MS who they wanted extra downtime,
oh
things like
yeah.
that, just to have, because it's just a long day in general. It's a lot, and the
Hmm.
heat and things like that can get to people extra. If
Yeah.
they need a little more time. And then when I do like mini sessions, I usually give them two mini session slots for the cost of one,
Mm,
just because it's just, you never know. Sometimes
hmm.
if with the equipment, need more time to move around, and sometimes with behavioral issues, then you need more time just to settle down and things like that. So I try to
You know that. You've done our family photos.
yeah, 'cause there's so many different variables. It's
Yes.
hard.
Mhm.
And then I
Yeah.
also started a scholarship session where they can apply for
Love
scholarships
that.
for a session, and people can donate to that as well. And then I have um, a different rate for those family sessions as well, just because I also know a lot
Mm,
of families that have children with disabilities. One parent most likely is not working, and not always, but they're
mm.
a lot of the time
Yeah.
is the case.
Yeah.
So, and I believe that all families should have nice family photos for many reasons, but because it builds the children's confidence to see photos of them in their
Yeah.
home. It's, there's so many reasons.
It's crazy. I've actually thought about entering that into my seniors because
Mhm.
especially for those because I did one with a kid with autism. It was my favorite session ever.
Yeah.
He was the sweetest kid, kept
Mhm.
giving me hugs and I was like, this is like my favorite senior session because it meant so much
Yeah.
to him but also meant so much to his mom
Mhm.
and knowing that the comfort of it. And I don't feel like you have to have a kid with these things to learn
Mhm.
how to be more inclusive.
Yeah.
Um, it's just educating yourself, like you said. It's
Mhm.
that's like the biggest part of it all is learn how to do it. Ask someone, come along with us and
Mhm.
learn.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I love too, what is something that like you do a lot of styled shoots just to
Mhm.
like be creative in things. What is something that you've like kind of added in, like if you're gonna do one, what is something that you are saying now that you must have?
Yeah, whenever I'm asked to be part of one, I ask that they have a model with some sort of disability. So, and I usually ask that it be a physical disability because for a photo shoot, it's hard to show a non-physical
Yeah.
disability because, I mean, that just makes sense. But
Yeah.
yeah, so now I'm usually left to find the model, which is fine. But most people are very obliging and happy to have that
Yeah.
as well. So that's kind of been a big request of mine is that there be a model with some sort of disability, which is fun. I
Well, I'd
just did
even
one.
love to see like the model agencies in this area
Mhm.
start something. That part of it is like have
Mhm.
models that aren't just like cookie cutter and fit these
Mhm.
like perfect standards. Find all different types of models. I would love
Mhm.
that to be something added in. That would be really awesome.
Mhm.
Um to see kind of that take in there. But
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I had a shoot a couple days ago and there was a model. She had a power wheelchair, but she also had a walker. And so I photographed her mostly in the walker because I haven't photographed someone with that piece of equipment yet. And they're some of my favorite photos. I just love them. They're
Oh my
just,
gosh, they were beautiful. I
yeah.
saw them in your stories and I was like, and then I saw all these people who were at that one
Mhm.
and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I wish I was there. That looks so fun."
Yeah. Yeah, and the
But
other people were photographing her too, because that's always a fear of mine is that other people won't, like, because you
mm,
get to choose who you photograph there, and I'm always
yeah.
afraid that they won't, but a lot of people did, and so I was really
I
thankful
love
for
that.
that. Mhm.
Yeah, because that there were a lot at that shoot, right? Like how many brides were represented?
Probably
Was there like
12?
20?
No, I
Oh,
don't know if there are
12.
that
Okay.
many.
It seemed like a lot.
Yeah, there probably were
So,
12, 14-ish maybe, somewhere around there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
I know.
I love that. I love that that was represented
Mhm.
and put in there. It's yeah. I feel like the world is changing, but
Mhm.
it's not happening fast enough. And
Mhm.
I just love that we're bringing this to our area and you're
Mhm.
paving that way. It's going to be so good.
Yeah.
Um I want to give you a chance to speak to those who are newer into the industry um, that want to gain the knowledge and feel confident working with others that are different than them. What would you say to someone like that that maybe hasn't yet and might be like, I want to do it, but I don't know how?
I think there's a huge temptation to be afraid and even to be afraid of how to speak about disability and how to
Mm,
talk about it because everyone thinks something different. They don't want you to say disabled, they don't want you to say special needs. They don't
hmm
and I think it's more important just to do it. Instead of not including someone because of your fear, just to do it. You
hmm
know, we have
Yeah.
that all the time when we're at the store. Parents hushing their kids, don't look at her, don't look at her. When in reality,
Mm,
I would rather that kid come stare and we could be like and ask us all the questions they had in the world than the
hmm
parents hushing them. So I think it's just more important just to include them than be afraid and go outside of your comfort zone because I mean, there's so much beauty outside your comfort zone. Me being
mm.
here is way outside my comfort zone. And I think
Yes.
so like I mean, if I can do this, you can do that. So it's just it's
Mm,
so worth
yeah.
it. And I mean, it's worth it for them, but it's also really worth it for you. It brings your life so much
Mm,
joy to do something good for someone else as well. And it's not
yeah.
just about that. It's just about doing what's right as well. So I just really
Mm,
encourage everyone to I don't know, go outside their
yeah.
comfort zone and just be brave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and not only like the part of the disability part of a brand, like finding something you're passionate about
Mhm.
for your brand and adding that in
Yeah.
can be so much more rewarding
Mhm.
if there's something that you have wanted to like speak out about. Like, I feel like we're moving into this trajectory of, for photographers, it's more about us and who we are, and that's what sets us apart. It's
Mhm.
not just our work
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah, I agree.
Um, and people are going to choose you based on you. And so adding that passion piece into your
Mhm.
business is going to give more light into who you are. You're going to
Mhm.
attract more of those ideal people that you're passionate about.
Mhm.
And I just find that to be something that everyone should really consider in adding into
Mhm.
their brands. Like, it's just, yeah, it's going to be so rewarding. It's going to be life changing. You're
Yeah.
going to be life changing to someone else because
Mhm.
people are looking at your website and looking to see if they're represented
Yeah.
in some way. And I love it. Some girl messaged me once. I don't know if she ended up booking or not. I'm trying to remember this. But when she looked at my website, I asked, what brought you to the website? And she said, I saw a girl that was more of a full figure and I'm
Mhm.
a full figure. So I knew you could photograph me.
Yeah.
And that meant so much to me
Mhm.
because like, I feel like people go to style shoots, people
Mhm.
or photographers go to want like the most what they find beautiful
Mhm.
and they want that represented on their website. But what if we could change the world to look through the eyes of who is looking for us and how
Mhm.
we can represent everyone,
Mhm.
and not just what we view to be pretty and beautiful and
Yeah.
all those things.
And
So
what the world
yeah.
actually looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
For sure.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I just love that. Anything else that you want to add that you think photographers should know?
Uh, when you said adding like your passion piece, I also include a donation in every wedding collection that I sell to a
Mm.
local organization that supplies medical equipment to children that have
Oh, I love
disabilities.
that.
So there's so many things you can do. It doesn't have to even be photographing people or putting it on your social media or things like that. You can volunteer. I'm volunteering for the Night to Shine in a couple weeks, which
Oh, I
is
love
it's
that.
pretty
Those are always my
exciting.
favorite.
Yeah, I'm
Ah, are you
excited to
doing
do
like a
that.
photo booth or event photography?
What'd you say?
Are you doing like photo booth or event photography or
I
both or
honestly don't know. I just said I'll take pictures. I think they'll just stick me somewhere and I'll do whatever they would like. I don't know. We'll see what
Aw,
happens, but I think they just need like event coverage basically.
yeah,
And
I love
then
that.
yeah, and then yeah, and you can add in like the donation, and there's so many ways. Just get creative. That's what we are. We're creatives. We should I
Yeah.
can think outside the box.
Yep. Yep, exactly. Sometimes you just need to take a step back and realize what it is that needs a little extra effort.
Hmm.
So, oh, I love that. Well, Kelly, before we wrap up, I want to be able to tell everyone where they can find you on the web. So, where can we find you in all the places?
Oh man, there's a lot of places, right? So website is Hetler Photography, and Hetler is Hetler. Just everyone spells it wrong. And then Instagram is at Hetler Photo, and Facebook is Hetler Photography. I think yeah, it's just Hetler Photography.
That's the one I always forget too.
Yeah, I know because it's just there. But you can find all the links to the website as well, so it's all there.
Love that. Those will also be in the show notes. So if you're like,
Oh,
I don't know how to spell that, you can find it there. And then if you're looking for the podcast, you can find us at carahainesphotography.com/podcast, or you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Cameras and Coffee Podcast. Kelly, thank you so much for stepping out of your comfort zone to come on today and talk about this. I know this is going to touch someone in some way and encourage someone to just change the trajectory of their business. So thank you
mhm.
so much.
Thank you.
Well, friends, this concludes our episode. And I want to say until next time, cheers.